Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wealth Questing Bard. And those of you who are new, welcome. So, today I'm going to be talking about characters, particularly what motivates them. All right, but before we get right into that, I want to talk about what has been going on this week. Okay, so I did submit my quarter letter, my first official one on Thursday at 10:17 p.m. to Laurel Simmons. So it will take some time before I hear back from her. So it's going to be a pretty long wait. So that is a completely natural thing. All right, I will let you guys know once I do hear back from her. All right, so aside from that, let's get right into it. So what is character motivation? What is this whole thing about motivating characters? Well, first of all, that starts with the concept of what are characters, right? You guys all know what characters are, right? You know, like Harry Potter, Mickey Mouse, um, Dobby, Frodo Baggins, right? These are characters. They're all different kinds of characters. And let's look at one, for example, like Harry Potter. If you think about it, there's so many characters and they all have different personalities, they have different weaknesses and strengths, and that's what makes the whole story unique. Did you know that Hermione was actually more than just being the friend and stuff for the movies? I mean, for the story overall. Because J.K. Rowling admitted that if she didn't have Hermione as a character, the book would have been much longer because Hermione was pivotal in helping Harry and find out all the information he needed to succeed in defeating the big bad at the end of the novel or getting taken care of whatever was going to come at the end. But without her, it was going to take forever to find all the clues and all the information. You know, she was going to have to find all these very creative ways, and it can take a very long time. Right? Detective cases, if you think about it, right? How long does it take? It takes a very long time to start putting all the pieces together. But with someone like Hermione, she already goes because she goes to the library and she gets all this information. So when she's like, "Oh, I've got to get to the library," you know she's like gonna get some information, and we'll learn about that information later down the road. So that was a very clever use of a side character, which was actually a very important character throughout the entire book series and movie series. But book series came first. Sorry about that. My camera cut off. All right, why are so you can tell why these characters are important, right? These characters are important for a reason. Okay, there we go. So why do we need all to know all these things, right? Because they are pivotal, right? So how do you go about creating characters, right? Sure. The one funny thing is with main characters, sometimes it comes easily because, at least for me, I know I cannot speak for everyone because everyone is different. For me, characters are actually the foundation of the story for me. So I work with that idea of a character or even a relationship, and I create a scenario where that relationship is put to the test and is difficult. So that's how I work. And then the rest of the story has to work around it, pretty much. And of course, world building and then all these other stuff I have to go through. That's usually my starting point is a relationship. And is this relationship worth telling? First of all, is the character even worth telling about? That's one thing you have to answer yourself. And of course, you're going to love your character. You will love your character a lot because it's your character. You gave birth to this character, right? You created this character from the top of your head. You know all their strengths, their weaknesses, more or less. You gotta know who they are. They're kind of like you a little bit because they do come a little bit from who you are. So this is why you like them, or they do things that you're not capable of, but you wish you were capable of, right? Like for me, a lot of my characters are very physically fit because and I'm not physically. I'm fit, but I'm not athletic. All my characters are athletically inclined per se. So like they would want to go and say, oh yeah, let's go to the gym every day. Well, maybe some of them might do that. I'm not that person. I wish I was. Yeah, I know I can be. I'm trying to get to some athletical inclinedness, so to speak. But that's just life, and that's okay. So these characters, you love them a lot, and it's completely natural. But that doesn't mean they're fully developed and ready for the page. And what does that mean? It means that your character is not well-rounded. It doesn't, and the reason you need all of this is so you know that when a certain moment comes in the book, where an event that you know this is going to be an event they're going to have to be put through. But do you really have an idea what's going to come after? Not so much. So the character, depending on who they are going to need something to push them into making a decision. So if you know who they are they somebody who usually takes things on the lighter side of things or not so much the lighter side? So if they're somebody who's always a positive person, like opportunist, right? They're going to treat a situation a bit more hopeful, a more hopeful approach versus somebody who's going to be seeing the glass half empty. They'll be like, oh no, it's the end of the world, we're done for, all these things, and they'll give up, they're going to close and become, don't bother with anyone, they're going to just waste away their days in defeat. And there's somebody who probably going to find defeat very easily. Somebody who's positive all the time, very, optimistic, they're going to keep going. They're going to be like, it's okay, I know this is just a setback, but you know what, I'm going to still push through, I know I could do this. And that's like great, that is really good. So it depends, and that's just a very simple basic way of doing it, but there are a lot of other ways to do it. All right, so that's the basic general point of why you need it. So I'm going to show you some of my work. So the best way to do this is by having a list. Like you created a page, or you can even write this down, have a Word document. And sometimes you can even be creative. Like I did PowerPoint slides. I know, I'm like obsessed with PowerPoint slides, you'll notice. I use PowerPoint slides, and what I did was I created character sheets. So character sheets tell you like the personality of your characters, like what they like, what they don't like, what's their favorite food. And you're like, why do I need to know their favorite food? Why do I need to know this? Well, sometimes it might come up in your story, and it may not, but you might need to know, because sometimes knowing that stuff is what you need to know, so you know what kind of person they really are. Like one of my characters in the manuscript I have that is being submitted, I have a character called the Black Knight, and there is a drink. There's a particular drink this character has to consume, like a wine, like a type of wine. And I had to choose: does this character like red, or does this character like white? And I had a leaning towards red, but I wasn't sure. But I had a friend who was kind of workshopping a bit, so she kind of got familiar with this character. So I asked her, what do you think this character is going to like, red or white, in terms of wine? And she's like, I'm like, I'm thinking this character is a very much of a red wine person. But it's really up to you and what you feel. And I'm like, no. And I told her, no, I agree with you completely, because I did feel I was leaning towards the red for this character. So sometimes you need to know that. It just randomly happens because it's personality. Somehow we can't always describe it, but somehow we know that this person's a red wine character, or a white wine character, or this is a nacho person, or a pizza person, or somebody who likes fine dining stuff, like sushi, really fancy stuff like sushi and stuff, So those are important things, and by knowing all that, you have to find out what motivates them. What is motivation? Guys know what inspires you to do something in life, right? The willpower, the desire to accomplish something. So my main character, in this current manuscript, she is going to her motivation is actually finding agency. So that's what I've based her character into doing. Okay, so she's gonna find agency. Because I didn't have a lot of agency for her. I feel like but I tried to find what would motivate her, try to make her do her own stuff, but I'm like, it was tough. It was really, really tough, but I found it. And I realized that it was because she didn't have agency. So what if and she's getting tired of getting dragged around. I'm like, come on, she's getting dragged all over the place. And so she's just like, I need to find agency. I need to take control of who I am. And that's what she does. So that's her motivation. That is her desire to just take charge, make her own choices. Because she didn't for most of the first half of the novel. And then she tries to make choices. Obviously, there's some mishaps and guilt and all these other stuff. So it's a huge journey to just finding out that, look, there are like, you can take control. And sometimes it will not work out, sometimes it will. But you just have to know when the time it is to follow your heart or in your head or whatever. So that's kind of what it is. So it's finding agency for my character. And I sort of think it's like kind of like me. I sometimes wish I took more initiative in my life to get what I want. So I'm going to show you the character sheets really quick because I think those are very, very important. Okay, so you guys see here, I have some information. Yep. So these are some information I have. Okay. About my character. So that is one character sheet. Yeah, I don't have everything that is accurate in there. I'm just going to let you guys know now. All right. And I'm going to share another one really quick. Okay. So here's another one. Okay. So you saw my two different character sheet stuffies I did. So I obviously had things like personality and what drives them and stuff. Those were very important. And those can change, and it's okay for those kinds of stuff to change. Okay. So don't worry about it. Don't fret that it changed when it was in the novel. That's okay. Because it happens. And sometimes we don't always know the end story of our characters ourselves. We don't always have to. We think we do, but they tend to take a life of their own. And because it's of their motivations, it's what drives them, it's their personality, you know, what they're interested in. So that drives them into going into a certain direction. And sometimes you get surprised. Like, I've decided to let this character take control, like take charge and make a decision. And as much as it was the same thing, but the result was slightly different from what I expected. Like there was a deeper meaning and deeper stuff was going on beneath the surface. And I admit I was very impressed for what I was able to come up with. I'm hoping that if it ever does hit the bookshelves, you guys will feel the same way. Okay. So for tomorrow, I will have a special for tomorrow. Since it's the workshop is tomorrow, the character motivation writing for 30 minutes. So you guys are wondering, what will I be doing? So I won't show you anything today, but I will show you some stuff tomorrow. So this character thing is going to be for another project. I was debating whether to do this one or should I do a new project that I have some ideas for. Yeah. You guys are like, oh my god, you have another project? You didn't even get this one published. I was like, I know. But writers, we always keep writing. We always have new ideas. So this new one, I have two characters. I have to focus on one, obviously. So I will show you that one. I will not give you the name or anything. Don't want to give too much away. So the character is, I'm going to call her as this moment TF. So TF is a character I had in working for a while. So she is driven by revenge. That is her main thing, is revenge. So that's her motivation. What motivates? Well, it was an act of betrayal that was happened, and funny enough, and it's also deals with magic. So it's magic is something like almost like a discrimination thing going on. I know, like we've probably seen something similar along the roads, but this one's particularly something I really wanted to work on. So I've seen a lot of frenemy relationships, and this is one of those stories I want to work on the frenemy aspect and really bring it out into a very full scale epic series. I don't expect it to be very long series. I expect it to be like maybe 34 books. That's my aim for this one. The current one, I'm trying to go all out with like 7. But this one is I expect to be small, but it is not any less epic or amazing and grand. It's just I feel this is going to be a small story. The books themselves will be a little longer. This is not going to be middle grade geared. It's going to be a bit more YA and young adult and literature. So, and maybe possibly adult literature. So it's going to be roughly at that area. I think middle grade can, if they have the reading capacity and intellectual understanding of mature concepts like that, like what I'm going to be dealing with. So yeah, it's open to them, of course, but preferably it's more geared towards YA. All right. So that's all I have for now. I will let you guys tune you guys in tomorrow of my writing for the character motivation workshop. All right, so if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more future videos like this. Stay tuned.